Good afternoon. Today is Friday, November 1st, 2024. It's 2:19 p.m. and I'm heading home via Walmart from Springhouse Waterworks. Again, these days are awesome. I mean, I'm just handling stuff and moving through the process. It's like I don't know. It's just different. I remember feeling like foggy, like I don't know. I was afraid there was mold. My brain was fighting me, and somehow I don't know what the case was. All I know is the last month, 3 weeks now, have been just absolutely different, and this is going to stick. I'm feeling some of the what do I want to say? Like the honeymoon period is, the newness is gone, and it's like this is becoming my new norm. And one of the things I'm observing is my attitude is clear, my focus is clear, my confidence is clear, and that it's like when you got something stuck in behind your cartwheel on the shopping cart at Walmart, and it sticks and you can't move it, and you push it and it's sliding and you don't know what's going on, and then you kick it and that piece of whatever it is falls out and it just rolls naturally. That's kind of where I'm at now. The junk that's been holding me back, I think is fallen by the wayside, and I'm just being me. I'm just doing me, and I'm learning in the process. So that's also a part of this. And here's my first lesson. Now I've known this, what I'm about to say, probably my whole adult life. I mean, this is stuff you hear early on in communication, management training, and I've had that since I got out of the Army in 1984. So I've been working on this for a while. And there's a lot of dynamics that go into what was going on inside of me all those years when it comes to communicating with others, and especially in a professional context. And I think I've journaled, I've talked about, I've written about a lot in my notes and my own testimony about how I was always striving for approval and not to be considered a dummy because of that traumatic childhood episode I had. My dad called me a dummy. I know I'm not a dummy. I'm really not a dummy. I'm kind of the opposite of a dummy. But that pattern of communication, and part of it is innocent, and it has to do with just my own framework and understanding. And I just had a recollection of my first job out of the Army at Wisconsin Management, and I was working with my first database system, my very first PC that I ever touched, my first little SQL database that I got to play with. And I was like a duck to water with that thing. I read the manual, I put it together, it was like, this was my language. And I started creating stuff, making labels. I created a payment system, and it was like I made things flow. That's a good way to look at it. I used that to make things flow. And I set up a training class for everybody because we bought the first network system. It was our man, I can't even remember what we called it. That's funny. It's been so long. It was a little PC network, but it wasn't. It was a mega PC. That was the deal. It was a mega PC, of course. It had 8 motherboards in a box, and then we ran wires for the keyboard and the printer. So we had one and monitor. It was like, yeah, no, it wasn't printer. It was just the keyboard and the monitor. I don't even think we had a mouse back then. That was it. Keyboard and monitor. We ran all these wires. Had a maintenance team, and before we set it up in the system, I did training. Had a little conference room. We set everybody up, and I showed them how to create a database, and I showed them this, and I was at the end, Carl Van Roy, the owner, the entrepreneur, he said, you know, Roy, I don't think everybody's going to get this like you do. Something simple like that. I said, what do you mean? This stuff's like, it just, I was oblivious to, because you think by default that everybody's like you, that you're like everyone else. Another revelation like that's that really hit me was when I learned about temperaments and the 4 temperaments that sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, and melancholic. And the Hidden Keys to Loving Relationships, I think was the name. Gary Smalley. No, it wasn't him. It was, I can't think of the author right now, but I met him. I had him sign a book and at Willow Creek one time. But he said that, it's a revelation when you find out that we're not wired the same. And man, that was for me, because my wife at the time was 100% sanguine with a strong dash of choleric, and I am kind of like a melancholy choleric, I think, is my blend. Joyce would say I'm a phlegmatic, but maybe that's the case. But I feel like right now, I feel like I could be easily switch into choleric mode, and I think that's the dynamic of meekness is, and so there's some blending and of these temperaments. I think when they're spirit controlled, and that's the book, The Spirit Controlled Temperament, I think is the name of it, one of these books that talk about this. Anyway, the revelation there was, she's different. And it's okay, because that's how she's wired. For her, finding her keys was like, part of the journey. Or, just the spontaneity of things and whatever. And that would drive me nuts. And that really helped me. And so where am I at today? Well, where I'm at today is, I have to look up the verse. It was the verse I used at my mother's memorial service in my message. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. And this is what I need to master, is the fitting of words. A word fitly spoken. There's so much that could be unpacked with that. Because what I'm finding now, just in my conversations with Brother Paul and his business and different things, and I've shared things, and I'm trying to encourage and in one sense influence and whatever. But if people aren't ready to hear what you have to say, that word is not fitly spoken. See, that's the teaching point there for me. I need to be more aware of, situationally aware of my audience, of my contemporary, my friend, the human being that I'm trying to relate to, and develop the situational awareness so that I will be able to say those words at the right time, in the right way. See, I think that they have to be the right words, said at the right time, in the right way. You want to communicate the right idea when that person is ready to receive that idea, and you want to communicate it in as palatable a way as possible, in a way that they can consume it, receive it, and hear it. That's why now I need to go and listen to Tactical Empathy by Chris Voss, because I think there's some really good information there about how to do that. And Frank Camp's book again. Why do I keep saying Frank? Jim Camp. I know Frank Camp was the programmer from years ago. I just remember where that came from. Jim Camp. And no, the only negotiating system you'll ever need for work and home. So anyway, I'm here at Walmart now, and this is my journey. Okay, so I'm in my new pattern. I've got my first lesson. It's like, oh man, school never stops. I just go to another level, but that's okay. I mean, I'm going to keep learning as long as I'm here. For the glory of God, everything I'm doing is for God. That's my heart. That's what I want to do. So I want to be better. If I'm going to be better, I have to know where I'm at and what the gap is between where I'm at and where I want to be. That's my business proposition. I want to help businesses find and monetize the gap that exists between what they think is happening and what's really going on. I need to see the gap so that I can address it. And now I recognize the gap. And that's exciting. That means that's the definition of continuous improvement. You can't improve if you don't know. Improvement would mean you go from here to there, from this situation status level to that one, this measure to that measure, this metric to that metric, this percent to that percent, whatever. There's a gap there between where you're at and where you want to be. Well, in order to get to where you want to be, you have to know where you're at to start with. And then you have to know what's missing. You have to know what fills the gap. What fills the gap? What's missing? And what's filling the gap here is my own predisposition to want to help everybody and dump everything on them at once, and they're not ready for it. It's like trying to feed a baby, and you just take the baby food and you just put it in a funnel and pour it down their throat. Well, that doesn't really make sense. You're only going to be able to feed a baby as much as the baby can eat, as fast as the baby can eat it. That's it. And that's compassion. That's caring for the baby when you understand how they eat. So when you're feeding them, you make sure they get the most nutrition and they have the best experience they can have so that they want to eat more. So that's where we're at. Lesson 1. And I don't know, I'll probably start another journal. I'm going to have so many journals. I'm going to have a journal to keep track of my categories of journals. Yeah, well, we'll work on that. Okay, that's all for now. We'll catch you later.